Hey everyone, it's Kellen Brower from RacerX back again with another race examination. We're going to talk about a couple things from the Denver Supercross that I picked up in the video highlights. Coming around the first turn, Chase Sexton's going to take the whole shot, and Eli Tomac's going to follow him through here for a little bit, but Tomac's keen to go to the lead early and actually giving Sexton a little bit of a run for his money. Comes to a little bit of a head here when Sexton goes a little bit sideways into the mechanics area, actually hits the Suzuki banner and goes down, so Tomac would take over the race lead. Anderson would eventually catch him, but I wanted to kind of break down this crash and highlight what went wrong here for Sexton. And it kind of started off with his entry into the corner. As you see him coming into the corner right here, there's like 3 or 4 different little like mini ruts, I guess, that he's trying to get into. He actually kind of misses all of them and tries to bank off this far outside one, but it stands him up. So he hits this ledge on the side of the track with much sharper of an angle than most people had been hitting it all day long. And then I wanted to talk about how close of a call this was for Jason Anderson as Sexton's rear tire comes spinning back onto the track, and Anderson actually kind of hits him. You can see it like bumps Sexton, and then Anderson kind of high sides back into the track a little bit. Anderson said it actually kind of like clipped his foot peg and got him a little bit wily there through the straightaway. But I feel like this always just makes me think of this crash right here in 2011 where Justin Barcia crashes in the lead at Freestone and his tire comes up and hits Marvin Musquin, and that actually, I believe, broke Musquin's thumb. So I mean, a close call there because, again, something just a little bit higher up for the wheel there or something like that, and Anderson's ending up, you know, with a lot more damage to himself or the bike. So a little bit lucky there. Later on in the race, Justin Barcia is going to go down coming into this corner, and a lot of guys are having problems with this turn all day long. It was the transition between the sand into kind of, you know, like basically a concrete corner because it would have been so dry and everybody's sliding their rear tire coming into that corner, coming out of the sand. So this transition period that Barcia lands in, like if you don't land straight up and down, Barcia lands like a little bit on the gas, a little bit sideways. It's pretty much always going to spit you right to the ground because there's, you know, no traction underneath of it. It's like loose topsoil, basically laying on top of concrete at that point. And it's very similar to what you guys see when they go off the side of the track and land on plywood. There's like that, you know, kind of like loose topsoil on top of the plywood. Same situation. So Barcia in that situation just kind of didn't land straight up and down. So put him on the ground, and a lot of guys having troubles with that all day long. Very slick track in Denver. But of course, the story was Eli Tomac kind of nursing it home. After the race, Tomac actually said that he had been dealing with a knee injury that he sustained in Atlanta in the heat race when he and Jason Anderson were going at it. Some people thought it was when he swapped out under the tunnel, but if you look at the tape, a lap after that coming through the sweeper, I mean, look at his leg right there. That is not the way that his knee is supposed to bend, so did some MCL damage, he said. He's going to sit out the final round in Salt Lake City, but should be back for outdoors. But look at these guys. Obviously, Malcolm Stewart, Jason Anderson, they both had great seasons. They're happy for Tomac as well, giving him a little bit of a golf clap right there. Bunch of guys changing teams and having great years. Who would have thought? But Eli Tomac now a 2-time Monster Energy Supercross champion. I want to remind everybody that this video is presented by OnX Off-Road. Know where to go with the #1 off-road GPS app. Access 500,000 plus miles of trails and roads, open dates, and public lands. Download the OnX Off-Road app today. Moving on to the 250 class, Hunter Lawrence and Christian Craig starting right alongside each other, and I thought this actually went a lot more cordial than I expected it to be. I thought either Lawrence would cut over hard or maybe Craig would run in it a little bit deep right there, but nothing really happened to start off this main event, and eventually they were able to get around Jalek Swoll early on and, you know, basically be 1-2 from the get-go. So it's going to be a fun race to watch to see whether Craig would try to pass Lawrence and win the race and win the championship, or what would happen here. And early on, he definitely, you know, kind of threw it in a couple times down the inside right there, and I wanted to slow this down again because I think if this isn't, you know, Craig kind of almost championship management mode, he just goes to the outside right here and maybe tries to block Lawrence. Like, Lawrence does have a great drive, and I get that it's slick, but I do think that Craig was giving Lawrence a little bit of leeway early on. Didn't want to, you know, get into him and either damage his bike or put him on the ground and give him a reason to come back and retaliate. So I think he was being very careful. And then, of course, this was the moment of the race right here where Craig gets into the sand a little bit wrong and goes down. Pretty lucky not to crash harder right there, like it was almost a high side crash. But instead of me breaking this down, I wanted to have you guys hear what Craig had to say about it.
Yeah, I got caught off guard with there was a little rock in that on that lip, and man, it caught me off guard. Next thing I know, I was on the ground. So,
and before you guys say, oh, another excuse from Craig, he always comes up with these excuses, how about we just look at what Michael Mosiman thought of that statement by Craig and the rock in the face of the jump right there.
Yeah, I got caught off guard with there was a little rock in that on that lip, and man, it caught me off guard. Next thing I know, I was on the ground. So
sometimes these guys are actually being truthful, people. Sometimes there's just a rock in the lip that gets them caught out, and Craig went down, and Mosiman agreeing that there was a rock in the lip that Craig hit right there. So unfortunate situation for Craig, but he was able to get back up into third place. For Hunter Lawrence out front, though, it has been a tremendous second half of this 250 West Championship now, as he has got 4 wins on the season, adding to his tally last week in Denver. 18-point deficit in the championship, so it's not over yet. Anything could happen at the finale, but Lawrence certainly has proved this year that he is no slouch in Supercross, and looks like he's going to carry a lot of momentum to the outdoors. There is Craig, though, of course, finishing up in 3rd place after getting up in 6th place. He did a pretty good job of salvaging what was a pretty wild race as well. And now we go into the East-West showdown with these two guys still battling for this West title.